If you're looking for an economical electric scooter, stop whatever you're doing and take a close look at this video, because today I'm going to tell you about a scooter that I'd really consider buying because it's so good and affordable. Pay particular attention to this video because this scooter is an electric vehicle that anyone could afford to buy. In fact, you can own this scooter for as little as €3 a day, which by the way is cheaper than a public transport pass. However, I have to admit that there is one problem, and that problem is stock. And when I tell you this, it's not a business strategy or anything, but it's a reality because this scooter is so good that it's always out of stock. So watch this video carefully to see why. In this video, we'll review all the features of the Tym'L from Tym'L scooter. And I'll share with you my experience after more than 700 kilometers of riding this scooter. At the end, I'll reveal its incredible price, as well as what I liked best about it, how much it costs to drive a Tym'L on a daily basis, and what I didn't like so much about this 125 cubic centimeter electric scooter. Today, I'm extremely happy to finally be able to present you with a machine that's reliable, electric, easy to use, and economical. And most importantly, please stay until the end of the video, because I have a surprise for those who stay to the end. But before I start, now's the time to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and activate the notification, because on this channel, we're talking about electric mobility. So subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest developments in the sector. Back to the video, we'll start with a quick tour of the scooter. The first thing that stands out for me is the beauty of the scooter. The grey is really nice, the brown seat really stands out, and the top case lengthens and refines the scooter's shape. Personally, I think it's really beautiful. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's a really cool machine with a style that doesn't go unnoticed. The scooter's design is really nice, and I find this electric scooter to be the most aesthetically successful of the electric 125 cubic centimeters. The seat is firm and fairly comfortable. The scooter's size is quite small, which makes it superbly maneuverable. What's more, the scooter weighs, hang on, only 84 kilograms, so it's really extremely light. Of course, there's a two-seater seat and footrest right here for the passenger. What's more, there's a backrest integrated into the top case to enhance passenger comfort, and that's beautiful. Quite frankly, it's well thought out, not to mention the battery under the seat, which lowers the center of gravity. Suffice to say, it drives itself. Even my grandmother could ride the Tym'L in an intermile. If you're a beginner and you're afraid you don't know how to ride the scooter, believe me, it's so easy to handle, so light and so intuitive that you'll ride it just like a bike. Anyone can ride this scooter. Color options include grey, greenardo and matte black. Personally, I don't have a favorite color. The three colors are really cool, but in any case, it's well done. These are three beautiful colors. As for the finish, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that the scooter was really well made, and the final result is really clean. It has to be said that I didn't get it new. It had already done a few thousand kilometers before I tested it. So really, I'm pleasantly surprised. I find that the level of finish is better than on some other €7,000 scooters. That's a really good point. Let's talk about what really interests you, technical specifications and performance. We're off to a great start with the keyless ignition on the Tym'L. It works extremely well and is extremely practical for everyday use. All you have to do is carry the keys in your pocket or bag. And as soon as you approach the scooter, there's a communication link between the scooter and the keys. And when you get on, you press a button and off you go. It works extremely well. And when you're 5 or 10 meters from the scooter, it pre-locks. Then you just press a little button and off you go. Next, we have a motor that develops 4,000 watts of power. This means you can reach speeds of between 80 and 85 kilometers per hour. The engine is dynamic enough to insert itself and overtake, but it's not scary power either. It's still moderate power. Beyond the power, there's no engine braking, which makes for a smooth, fluid ride. There are two driving modes on the Tym'L. The first allows you to drive at up to 50 kilometers per hour, and the second allows you to go up to 80 or 85 kilometers per hour. In terms of acceleration, I didn't notice any difference between the two modes. It's just a matter of limiting speed. As for range, you can drive up to 70 kilometers on a single charge. In reality, it's more likely to be around 60 kilometers, depending on the outside temperature, your riding style and the load on the scooter. But in any case, it makes the round trip from Paris to Versailles, always driving at maximum with one passenger and taking the freeway and the ring roads. That's a good 50 kilometers. For anyone living on the outskirts and working in Paris, this is just excellent, especially when you consider how much it costs in electricity compared with a combustion vehicle, not to mention the free parking available for electric two-wheelers in Paris. Honestly, I have to say that it's quite pleasant to go to Paris on an electric scooter on a Saturday evening. You get there in 25 minutes, whether there's traffic jam or not, it's not your problem. You park in 3 seconds in front of your restaurant without spending 3 hours looking for a parking space. You don't pay for parking because it's free in Paris for you. And then you remember that your return trip didn't even cost you 30 cents for electricity, as opposed to 5 euros for petrol and 10 euros for parking if you'd come by car. I have to admit that in this situation, your restaurant is even tastier than usual. Aside from these anecdotal details, which are all the more pleasing, the Tym'L has a removable battery that can be recharged directly at home using a simple 220 volt socket. So it's super practical because you can recharge this battery anywhere. At work, at a friend's house, at home, at the gym. Why not? In any case, to charge the Tym'L, you have two options. The first is to remove the battery and charge it at home. The second is to plug the scooter directly into the mains, so you can recharge the scooter's battery without removing the battery, which can be very practical if you have an outlet in your garage. Charging time is around 5 to 6 hours from zero, but I've never charged it for more than 3 hours, so it goes pretty quickly. As for the display, it's a nice color LED screen, and frankly, it's top notch for the price. Even on much more expensive scooters, you often find black and white screens. That's a very good point. And on this screen, of course, you'll find instantaneous speed, odometer, battery remaining, selected riding mode, and battery voltage. The display is surrounded by indicator lights for the turn signals and the full beam indicator. On the right are warnings, starter and circuit breaker. And on the left, you'll find the turn signals, horn, light control, and reverse to make maneuvering easier if the need arises. It's so light that you might say it's not really that useful. But in fact, when there are two of you on a scooter and on a slope, it can happen. And I must admit that reverse gear is extremely practical. There's also a USB socket in the pocket for recharging your electronic devices along the way. And on the right hand side, you can put 2 or 3 little things, even if it's still quite small. Now, I've got a quick question for you. In your opinion, how much does it cost to fill up on the Tym'L? Let's have a little quiz. Answer A, 50 cents. Answer B, €1.50. Answer C, €3.50. I'll give you a few seconds to think. And the answer was, of course, A, 50 centimes for a full tank, or about €1 per 100 kilometers. That's pretty good, isn't it? In terms of safety, the Tym'L has an alarm that goes off if anyone touches it, so you really have to touch it, or even sit on it. Unfortunately, we don't have an anti-lock system on this electric scooter, but I'd say it's pretty standard. Now let's talk about the more sensitive points. First, let's talk about comfort. Comfort isn't bad per se, but let's just say it's limited on the Tym'L. When you're on your own, honestly, there's no problem, but when there's 2 of you, you're quickly squeezed in. If you're, let's say, over 6 feet tall, I think it's going to be complicated to take a passenger comfortably. After that, it's feasible from time to time, but every day I think it's a bit complicated. If you're less than 6 feet tall, you'll still be cramped, but already much more comfortable with a passenger. What's more, the suspension is pretty firm, so it can shake the passenger up a bit if you're going over speed bumps at 50 kilometers an hour. It's a minor detail, but if you're going to be carrying a passenger on a daily basis and you're tall, you really need to think about it. And finally, we're going to talk about something that will put a smile on your face: the fare. Listen carefully, because this is where it gets both concrete and unbelievable. Basically, the scooter costs €3,699, but you may be able to benefit from an ecological bonus. But that's not all, because for this price, you also get a free registration document worth €20, a free number plate worth €60, a free top case worth €90, and a free windscreen worth €30. And last but not least, delivery anywhere in France costs €150. And when you compare it to other manufacturers who charge for all these options, sometimes much more expensive, it's still exceptional to have all this offered and included in the price of the scooter at less than €3,000. So I really wanted to emphasize that it's just exceptional. And so paying €3,000 for the scooter over 3 years, that works out at €2.72 a day for driving an electric vehicle. I think that's really cheap, especially as you'll be keeping the scooter for much longer than 3 years. It's really very attractive. I think it's the best value for money. Honestly, it would be the first vehicle I'd buy if I needed to use electric two-wheelers today. It's still very interesting. There's a real momentum building here in terms of pricing and the accessibility of electric two-wheelers. Take advantage of it. It's a great opportunity. For me, the Tym'L is an excellent electric scooter, especially for people going to work in Paris, for example, who use the back roads, the ring road in the cities, etc. It's clearly the best value for money. It's clearly the best value for money today. I don't think there's any debate about it. It's just incredible. It's also perfect for those who want to get around town quickly, going everywhere in a few minutes, moving from one city to another. I also think it can be interesting for people who are in the provinces, who are 5, 10, 15, 20 or even 25 kilometers from the big city in their area or their place of work. It really saves a lot of fuel on a daily basis, and over the year it makes a huge difference. If you're interested, I'll let you do the math. I'll let you think about it, but it really is a great opportunity. Last but not least, it's also a great way for students to avoid paying too much for their vehicle, and above all, to avoid recurring costs such as fuel. In short, if you're interested in this scooter, go to the link in the description and enter my code JACITELECTRIC, which I'll display on the screen. And in addition to everything else I've mentioned, you'll get a helmet and gloves worth a total of €100 totally free. Now there's no excuse. All you have to pay for is the scooter and everything else is included. I have to say, go for it. I don't know where else you can find a better deal, especially with such a high quality scooter. I'd like to say, stop looking and go straight for it. And to take advantage of the accessories I've just mentioned, be sure to enter the code JACITELECTRIC. I'll also be able to earn a small commission and finance my future electric motorcycle. But frankly, I think the Tym'L are excellent electric scooters, and over the next few years you're going to see quite a few of them on the road in your towns because they're so cool to ride and so affordable. And don't forget that they don't even cost €3 a day, that electricity costs €1 per 100 kilometers, that parking is free and easy in Paris, and that traffic jams are no longer your problem when you're on a scooter. So if you're still hesitating and you want an electric 125 with the best quality price ratio on the market, which also looks great and costs a lot less than 7,000, 8,000 or 10,000 euros, you know what you have to do. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, leave me a like. Subscribe and activate the notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos, because on this channel we're all about electric mobility and recent developments in the sector. On that note, we'll see you in the next video to appear on the screen, and for the rest of you, see you next week.